Mr. Speaker. I join the Prime Minister in paying tribute to Lance Corporal David Wilson. His family, including his fiancée Michelle and his young daughter Poppy, have suffered a devastating loss, and the whole House will want to send our condolences to them. I am going to ask the Prime Minister again about the need to get banks lending to businesses. Putting taxpayers' money into the banks was something supported by all parts of the House in order, yes, to rescue the banking system. But as the Governor of the Bank of England says, the purpose of recapitalisation was not merely to protect the banks, but to ensure the flow of lending to the real economy could continue at normal rates. Does the Prime Minister accept that on those terms his recapitalisation has failed, and when is he going to change it?
Mr. Speaker, the first point of recapitalisation was to save banks that would otherwise have collapsed. And we not only saved the world, saved the banks and saved the banks and led the way. We not only saved the bank. To save the world's bank. We not only work with other countries to save the world's banking system, but not one depositor actually lost any money in Britain. And that is the first thing. The second thing is to get the banks into a position where they can resume lending. And that is why interest rates have come down by 3.5%, something the opposition said was not possible, but actually happened. And the third thing to do is to work to remove all the barriers to interest rates and to the lending of money by the banks, and that is what we are doing in discussion with the banks now. Now, the opposition may not like the fact that we led the world in saving the banking system, but we did.
Well, it's now on the record. He's so busy talking about saving the world, he's forgotten about the businesses in the country. All over the country, there are businesses who've had interest rates increased and overdrafts restricted. I've got one here, a business in Derbyshire whose overdraft facility was restricted even though their order book was full, and they've had to lay off 11 people as a result. This recapitalisation scheme isn't working. It needs to change if the banks are going to start lending again. Now, the Prime Minister keeps saying that everyone in the world has copied it, but no one has copied the details. He is lending to the banks at 12% and expecting them to lend out at 6%. Other countries aren't copying that, even though he thinks he's saving the world. Isn't that one of the things that needs to change, and change now?
Mr. Speaker, he forgets that in addition to recapitalising the bank, we've set up the Small Business Loan Guarantee Scheme with an extra £1 billion, which would not be possible if we took the advice from the Conservative Party. We put an extra £1 billion into export credits for small businesses, which would not be possible if we took the advice of the Conservative Party. We are getting £4 billion from the European Investment Bank. 4 banks in Britain are already using that scheme that will enable money to flow to small businesses. And at the same time, the Inland Revenue, HMRC, is saying to people that we will defer payments of VAT, national insurance and income tax and corporation tax to enable them to have the cash flow that is necessary. So we are taking the measures that are necessary. Unfortunately, to do that, you have to be able to put a fiscal injection into the economy. Unfortunately, the Conservative Party opposes the extra investment that is needed. Unfortunately, the Conservative Party are still clinging to the failed policies of the 1980s.
The fiscal stimulus has got nothing to do with saving the businesses that are going bust and need the lending from banks. The Prime Minister talks about the Loan Guarantee Scheme. Does he know what percentage of loans to business the Loan Guarantee Scheme covers? Does he know? 0.2%. That is how big it is. I know he's been around the world boasting about his recapitalisation scheme, so he's reluctant to change it, but for the good of the economy and our businesses, it has got to change. Now, if it's all going so well, if it's all going so swimmingly, why is it that the Council that the Council of Mortgage Lenders, said yesterday the government needs to decide on its key priority? The tug of war with lenders being pulled in every direction at once needs to end. The government policy, they say, is conflicting and incoherent. Why do they think government policy is conflicting and incoherent?
Speaker, the Council of Mortgage Lenders has just supported our proposal to deal with repossessions in the mortgage market, something that not even the Conservative Party was able to support. And we are taking the action necessary. I'm sorry to have to teach them about what an economy is about. But if we are putting money into the small business loan guarantee system, if we are putting money into export credits, if we are putting public money into supporting businesses through a difficult period by deferring income tax and corporation tax and national insurance and VAT, then we are using taxpayers' money rightly to help small businesses. Unfortunately, the difference between our two parties is he would do absolutely nothing and let the recession run its course. We are prepared to take the action that is necessary, but accept that it costs money. It's no good him complaining about extra borrowing if he's not prepared to take the action that is necessary to help small businesses.